Season 2, episode 81 of the Dallas Cowboys, UK Dallas Cowboys fan club, and our bi-weekly podcast. I'm totally unprepared for this evening, but Paul and Rich, how are you both getting on?
How now, Branko?
Could be better.
Yeah. I've just tried to forget football exists, to be honest.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that happening at all. Just in breaking news before we came on air, you can see it there. Everson Griffin has been traded away to the Lions for a 6th round compensatory pick. How do we both feel about that?
That's one gone. Where's Paul? Where's Paul? Is he not gone yet?
Hang on. Give it a minute.
Rich must know something.
No. I'm just hoping. It's early doors yet. We got to, what was it? We got to like next Tuesday or something, is that? Next Tuesday, Wednesday? Tuesday, I think, isn't it? 3rd.
Tuesday, yeah. It is. It is
lots of time, yeah.
Lots of time. It definitely sparked one of the areas we did want to talk about during the course of the show, but as we say, it's breaking news, so we're bringing it right to you. Everson Griffin gone to the Lions, picked up a 6th round compensatory pick to add to the other 9 picks which we have.
Conditional 6th rounder, so it looks like that might be with before where it was like a 6 or a 7 sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It'll be... Look, it's better than nothing. You can trade those compensatory picks now, which is a good thing. So we'll take it. We have holes all over this roster, so we badly need those picks. Before we get into the bones of tonight's show, obviously we lost at the weekend. Big fat duck egg of a field goal and lost to the team with no name. 3-25. We're now 2-5, and we're in 3rd place in the division.
Yeah, I'm just like, for the future reference, I'm going to be an argumentative SOB and just say because they weren't called the Redskins or whatever their future name will be, it doesn't count. So that's going to be my argument. But realistically, yes, it was just crap. I mean, it's never great when you go down to like 3rd QB again. But yeah, big fat duck egg. Just nothing happened. It was boring. It's painful and boring.
Yep, it was an absolute shit show. And I'm sorry, I'm cursing already, but I just can't help it. And I'm sure everybody that's watching right now, it's honestly, it was without a doubt one of the worst games I have ever witnessed as a Cowboys fan. Like, there was no heart, there was no desire, there was literally no support of teammates at all through that whole game.
Nah.
Especially with the Andy Dalton hit. That pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
No one came off the bench. The O-line did not went after, what's his name, Bostic, whatever his bloody name is. Nothing. Yeah. There was nothing. It's like people were just kind of looking over him and it's like, do something. It's like, that meme where you just stand over someone and you just poke it. It's like, do something. Yeah. It was like that. I mean, what the fuck?
It was literally like someone just like, I don't know, like someone had just hit something, pull over on the side of the road and just poking it to see if it's alive. It was like, what the frick, man? What the hell? I mean, I've said before, I know plenty of us have said that I think there's been massive problems with leadership and drive on this team for a very, very long time, specifically on the defense. But that was just all over, man. There was just no emotion at all. There wasn't even any glares or any words that you can see that were had. Like, I'm not necessarily kind of but not wanting to see someone go and swinging for someone at the end of the day. But I mean, at least when Dak went down, there was just shock. Everyone was just shocked because they thought he was kind of, impregnable. Like he couldn't get injured, and it's like, holy crap. That was understandable. But with this, there was just no emotion. It was just like, what the hell? that's why we're losing. There's nothing, and I think it's fairly obvious to see now that the past couple of years or the past few seasons, where they say, "I'll get rid of Garrett because he's gone 8-8." It's like, nah, you were 8-8 because of Garrett. In the good way, not the bad way. So, I mean, you can say what you want about Jason Garrett, and there's plenty of good and bad, but players always played for him and always followed him. And the one thing that's missing at the minute with everything that's gone wrong, whenever something went wrong under Garrett, there was always the mantra that everyone always made fun of. It's like, it's just do your job, move on to the next thing, concentrate on what you got to do. We'll take it a day at a time, step by step. There was all those, all those things, but it makes sense and it keeps people focused and it helps keep morale up. There's none of that this time. It's just, we're shit. We need to get better. That's it. That's the story.
There was literally no basics for that whole game at all. None. There was no I mean, we can slate this whole team to the bare bone because it was disgraceful. It was disgraceful. Oh, but yeah, man. We're kind of getting ourselves sidetracked already here.
Yeah. But, we'll come back to that on Andy Dalton incident just in the analysis of the game. But we do want to say, look, folks, get your questions in, get your thoughts into us. The three of us here have no problem talking about it, but, we want to hear your opinions, want to hear your thoughts on what happened. But before we go any further, Paul, if you want to give the shout out.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, if you guys are planning going to a Cowboys game this year, probably, I'll be perfectly honest, it's not going to be as fun because of the way how we're playing, but and the fun side of things, where you get to meet proper players that want to play for the team, you can always get to meet them at Cowboys Experience. Like, get to meet actual legends that actually play for the team, like Drew Pearson and stuff like that. So, like I said, so over the years, I've used Cowboys Experience before. Great bunch of guys, like Barry and Michael. Great guys. Treat you like royalty. But be sure, if you're planning on going to a game next year, be sure to use the code UK Cowboys and you receive a free gift on your order. Yeah.
So, Rich, do you want to give us the line?
What? Don't be a clown. Use the code.
Yes, use the code.
Don't be a clown. Use the code. Get free stuff. Drop that.
But for anyone who's not aware, keep tuning into their website, their Twitter, their Instagram, on all their feeds.
Yes,
they are trying to organise virtual events in and around Thanksgiving. So just stay tuned and see what they have coming up. But moving on to the injury update. So obviously we got Leighton Van Der Esch back last weekend. And David, to answer your question, yes, the Griffin trade has been confirmed.
It's a 6th round compensation pack. So he's gone. So Griffin is out of here. He's out of here.
He wasn't sure if he was on the trading block, but yeah, he's definitely on the trading block and now gone.
So going back to our injury update. So yes, Leighton Van Der Esch returned last weekend. Zach Martin should be back this weekend. And Cheeto and Sean Lee are possibly back this weekend.
I don't even know why I don't even know why I'm crossing my fingers right now, because it's so hard to be enthusiastic about this right now. It really is. Like, it's at any point having them come on and get themselves re-injured again and not have them for next season, because the way I'm seeing it, it's like I don't see this being turned around so quickly enough to.
I get that, but the problems with this team are quite deep, and like you said, there's no drive, there's no passion, there's no seemingly want to do it, and there is no leadership. So the one thing that at least that you want to get out of this crap season is that these guys do actually want to be here. They do actually want to play this sport. They do actually want to earn their paychecks. They actually, want to try and get as far as they can. Yeah, they're, put it lightly, they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl, but they could at least try and get out of the crap fest that is the NFC East on top, for goodness sake. Like, have a bit of pride. And I think the best way that they can do that is to have some decent leadership on the field, which Sean Lee and Zach Martin right there, perfect.
Yeah.
And in terms of if there's one thing I can be enthusiastic about is if we were, say, for example, we still managed to get to the playoffs with a losing record, right? And somehow, some miracle, we turn everything around and we actually make a playoff run.
How much of like a 2020 Cowboys, everyone hating the Cowboys thing would that be?
That would literally be 2020 in a nutshell. I might as well buy myself a bloody wig to regrow some hair or something like that to add to the equation. I have no idea. I honestly, this year has just been messed up from the get-go. It really has.
Yep. I wouldn't. I think it's unlikely, but I wouldn't put it outside the realms of possibility. Completely agree. It's just mad.
It's just fucking nuts.
Yeah. Like I've been trying not to swear, but
and I do apologise for everyone that's watching right now. I'm just so annoyed about that game.
Yeah.
I can't help but curse, and I'm sorry to our sponsors because we do try and keep this as PC as we can. But I am so mad about this team.
Sorry, Barry.
I really am.
I was watching just before we came on air. I was watching a little bit of Pro Football Talk, and if Phil Sims, oh God, Graham,
oh my Christ, Graham,
that is too soon, mate. That is too soon. That's too soon.
Coming in with the red hot sauce right there.
Jesus.
Chris Sims has no problem dropping in about how pissed off he is about stuff. So if he gets away with it, I'm sure we can get away with a few swear words in there. But getting into some of the bones of the game anyway. So just on the Andy Dalton thing, and you both called it out in terms of a lack of leadership. I mean, when the team of football got a safety on us, you just knew the game was up at that stage. And then Dalton got a dirty hit and no one stood up. Like I read an article yesterday, I don't know if it was John Machota or Marcus Mosher wrote it, but they were saying, the fact that if Tyron Smith had been there, he would have thrown hands. If he hadn't have done it, Zach Martin would have done it. If neither of those have done it,
Lyle Collins
would have done it. If any of them had been on the field, they would have.
Lyle Collins would have went after someone and ripped someone's head off. Without a doubt.
Someone would have been on their fucking ass at least.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just, man. But in terms of, if there was any positive for our O-line, it's like, in terms of performance-based, I know I'm kind of jumping gun here, and Mike's just kind of touched on it. It's like Connor Williams and Biadish, they did okay, considering they did okay. Yeah. So there is a plus kind of going forward, but at the same time, the problems at the tackle ends, your left and right tackles right now. Yeah. And that's what's killing us. We're getting these edge rushers coming in with ease. That one play that Cam Irvin did, just stood there. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Gone. Get him. Gone. Get defense. Get Dantari Poe gone. Everson Griffin. Goodbye. It was nice knowing you. You can have fun in Detroit now. Whatever. Bugger off. But anyway, but going back to Andy Dalton, sorry, my emotions are fucking over the place right now about this. See if I was still playing, right? I'm playing for East Kilbride still. That's anyone doesn't know, that's the team I used to play for, right? If my quarterback got hit like that, whether I was on defense or on offense, our whole sideline would be going after that guy, regardless. Yeah. Not one person, not one player, not one coach came out of that sideline, or our offensive linemen are on the field. They just stood over Andy Dalton, checked to see, prod him and say, do something, pretty much, to be meme. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, honestly, honestly, it just blows my bloody mind. And if the people I'm really going to criticise is the people that are supposed to be leaders of this team, and that's Jalen and DeMarcus Lawrence. Jalen Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence. They're supposed to be the leaders. They want to be the leaders of this team. They're not doing it. I'm sorry, they're not doing it. Like, if that was your teammate, that was your quarterback going down like that, getting hit with a late hit, where the hell are you? Get yourself sorted out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this ties into what we said before, doesn't it? Because there's no one here that I can see, aside from, or very few people, that actually seem to want to go and play a game of football. And like Paul just said, you could go out any sort of, watch a game, go down to see a game, any sort of like Friday, Saturday night. If you're in the States, go watch a game of football. If you're over here, I mean, probably not now, but you could go out and watch a local rugby game, just crappy league stuff. You get a dirty tackle in that, there's fists are flying, stuff's happening, whistles are going, people are getting torn out of the scrum. It's mad. It's going to be mental, especially if it happens up the valleys. But it's just, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. No one moved off the bench. No one moved off the sideline. Nobody that was on the field even just like, there was nothing. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that. And I can't grasp the fact how, I know we haven't had a proper off season, but like, for goodness sake, it's only training camp. It's not like they like live with these people day in, day out. It's
that there from Boston, that should not matter. That should not matter at all. The fact is, it was a double hit, and no one just stood out there to defend Dalton and stand up for him, because he is the one. At least Dalton actually tried to make something happen out of nothing there, and credit to him. Credit to him for that. Like, he's a man.
But it just goes to show no one wants to play this game, and no one wants to play this game for the man next to them. Mm-hmm. No one.
Lauren, just kind of like backing up to say, if anyone doesn't know Lauren, associated with the Edinburgh Wolves, which is an arch rival of East Kilbride, funny enough. But yeah, using the same scenario, like, if it doesn't matter what team that you are, like, defend your teammates regardless. Man, it's like, you saw what was this? What was the thing with the Steelers and Cleveland Browns last season with the whole Myles Garrett situation?
Oh yeah, with the helmet.
Perfect example. You see a helmet going flying out, then you see that whole Steelers O-line going after Myles Garrett, and rightly so, because that was disgraceful. That compared to what Boston did, like, obviously that's not as bad because you're swinging the helmet, but the thing is, that was a dirty, cheap shot hit.
Yeah. Like, I saw a mention of that yesterday, and I think it was Mike Pouncey was the guy who went after Garrett. But he threw 3 or 4 punches. Garrett got knocked to the ground. He kicked him, and then he went to the ground to go after him again with 3 or 4 punches. Like, that's defending your teammate. That's leadership. Yes. Pouncey was ejected as well, but he's the backup quarterback. He was the backup quarterback. Can you imagine if it was Big Ben? Can you imagine if it was him?
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it leadership. It's just giving a fuck. No one here gives a fuck.
It's at all. Yeah. Like, regardless, right? Like, you don't have a decision to select what team you want to play for in the NFL. You're the one that's been selected to play for that team. It's like, even getting into an NFL team is a privilege. It really is. Doesn't matter like where you come from or wherever not. To be in an NFL team, any 32 of those teams, it's an absolute like blessing for you to actually go out there and perform and earn as much money as you can. We are not seeing that. We're seeing players that are just have no desire at all. None.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I'm hoping Zach Martin's going to come in and change, at least on the line, because he knows he's the only guy there, really. Just trying to say, right, guys, that's bullshit. That can't happen. We got to sort this shit out. At least because what David Ironside's just said, Andy needs to know that they've got his back.
Yep.
Yes, they're going to make mistakes. They got 3 rookies there. Yes, they're going to make mistakes. Yes, people are going to come screaming through, but they need to know if something happens, someone's going to get held if they have to save Andy. And at least if someone does hit him, they're going to go there. They're going to pull him up, and they're going to dust him off, and he's going to go straight back. They know that he knows that they're there and they've got his back.
Here's the thing: you're not seeing anything on our own sideline of players getting criticised and that. They're just sitting down, just having a normal chit-chat conversation, blah, 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 but one play after the play. You're not seeing the coaches being engaged with these players right now. None.
The only person, the only coach I've seen that from is the running back coach going over to Zeke. Because the most emotion you're seeing at the minute is coming out of Zeke when he's fucking up and he's turning around and he's just livid with himself because he knows stuff's on his back and he's going to try and do the best he can. And he's making mistakes and he's compounding the issue and he's getting more in his head. But then you have all this stuff going on. That's the only coach I've seen go down and sit down, like you said, and try and sort stuff out. That's it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if I bring up 2 points here, I kind of mentioned this before we went on air. The first one is, right, and I don't understand this thing that McCarthy has this season, that he wasn't appointing captains, that there was going to be a captain every week. What the irony is that about?
It's the irony that we have new captains.
To be fair, like to be fair, the whole when I was playing back at the Pirates, we kind of had that same ideology. It's based on who's stepping up to the plate during practice, gives them a shot to really prove themselves, game time to be a captain type of thing. But at the same time, it's a bit of soul searching who could be a permanent captain at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like who is the whole point of giving someone that captaincy is it's like, right, it's time for you to step up and be a leader. So any captain that's been selected, they're not stepping up.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, last season, right, we had six captains on the team. I believe 5 of those captains are still there. They're still available. And yet, McCarthy said, I'm going to change the captains every week. Everyone's going to get to be a captain 1 week. It's not working. You know, I mean,
I think it's
Martin is there.
Ironic. It's ironic that we got all these captains. We got new ones each week. We supposedly got all this leadership because the title of captain's getting thrown around, and yet there's absolutely none. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. I also think it's, to a degree, I think it's bollocks. I think it's BS. Not everyone is a leader. I mean, yes, give people a chance to be in leadership, but at the end of the day, leaders will lead. It is in their genetic makeup. It's who they are. They will find a way to lead. They will lead by example if they're a good leader. Not everyone is a leader. I think putting people in a situation saying you need to be a leader when they're not one is bad for the team and it's unfair on the person. Now, a person can step up and do their job and do well and make a flash play and drive the team forward in a situation. Anyone can do that at any point, but that's not being a leader.
I tell you, this is going to be a wee interesting point. Do you imagine, right? Like, say we didn't not let Jason Witten go for a second here. Just even have him on the side. Just have Witten on the sideline. Can you imagine what he'd be like on that sideline right now for us? Just have him on his own.
Yeah.
If he was on the sideline, he'd have brought everyone over and been like, "What the fuck was that?"
He would kick everything off.
Yeah. Des Bryant, everyone gave Des Bryant crap, including me, because he was very emotional and he used to go off at people and go off at the coaches and everything else. But if someone messed up, he would be in their face.
Yeah,
and that's what's needed.
Even though, like Witten wouldn't be getting a game right now because of with the tight ends and stuff like that. But the fact is, it's like he can still bring like he cares about the team. We're not seeing that from these other players right now, and it's. Man, it's so depressing, man.
The other point I wanted to bring up, and that's been a huge disappointment for me this off season, not just the coaching, but free agents that we have picked up this year. I mean, what the hell has happened with us in free agency? You know, that I don't think anyone who's come in has worked. You know, like we've brought in Poe, hasn't worked. Griffin hasn't worked.
I'm sorry, but get Poe gone. I don't want ever to see him in Cowboys colours ever again.
I don't think he likes Ontario Poe.
Yeah.
It's been 3 weeks of him being lazy, incompetent, doesn't know his assignment, getting pushed back easily, falling his backside every single time, and it's just honestly, for a defensive tackle with no burst and no desire to hit the gaps whatsoever, get someone else in.
Yeah.
We are briefly seeing that with Gallimore, but because he's showing that little bit of burst, same with Antoine Woods. See, ever since we've actually started getting they two in, we are seeing more pressure in the middle, and that's why they're now returning to the edge rushers now. Like wherever it's running to, like that, for example, that touchdown. Who was it? McKinnon, like the running back. No, it was a running back. It was a running back.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. I don't even know his name, but it wasn't like a jet sweep or something like that. But it was yes, that's him. Basically, like just completely, our defensive ends were just completely non-existent there, and and that's probably the first game Alden Smith's not really contributed much at all in that game.
Like going back to what I was saying in terms of who we picked up, like I mean, Clinton Dix, great call there from David. You know that these guys were being brought in to help with leadership on this team. You know, all they've done is picked up a paycheck and not given a shit.
Yeah.
You know, but Rich, give us your thoughts on it. Give us your opinions.
I agree completely with what Graham just said. I think they're free agents for a reason. Now, it's not always the case that that's a bad reason, in that the player is bad. But at the end of the day, Everson Griffin is not what he used to be. Dontari Poe, okay, yeah, he was good, but I'd class him as a tier 2. Very good point. How bad was HaHa? I mean, it's weird because you have to sit here and say, in a similar sort of situation where you say, oh, well, we were going to find out this year whether it was the players or the coaches because we changed the coaches. Similar sort of thing. Like, you're sitting here, can you seriously be in a situation where you miss on so many veteran free agents that when you've brought them in, not counting obviously the one guy that didn't play, but unfortunate situation, but with Gerald McCoy. But how bad? I don't see this staff being that bad at identifying talent when they're that good at the draft. But then the Cowboys have never really been this active in free agency. So is that? I don't know, but.
I'll be honest. I think we've had so much bad luck in this free agency. Like, I was really looking forward to seeing McCoy because he looked like he was in the best shape of his life. Like the amount of weight he shredded off from when he was playing at Carolina to now. He looked in great shape. He was amplified. He was well up for playing for the Cowboys. He was excited that who we drafted in, all that type of stuff. And obviously the injury hit, and we could see the exact same when we did initially bring in Griffin. We did initially bring in Poe. We initially brought in Clinton Dix. We were like, you know what? This is actually looking like initially before the season started. It's like initially this sounds like a really good bloody defense, but now we're a bloody laughing stock. We're actually going back to the guys we had before. Like none of these guys have contributed to anything at all. Yeah. Like I'm like, it's got to that point. It's like. Other teams are going to take notice of this as well, so it's not looking good for them. They're not going to get another team after this by the looks of it. Yeah, like another guy I was thinking of, and this was something I saw yesterday in terms of snap count. I think we had 66 snaps on defense. Darryl Worley had 1 snap. Another free agent pickup. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What is happening? I mean, as you say, have these lads, given up? Is it bad coaching, or have they just given up? Because, as you say, once they're gone from the Dallas Cowboys, people are going to look at your tape and go, no, not interested.
Well, this is the thing. From those guys, I'm going to move this on. I'm going to segue this a bit. These guys, like you said, there's a lot of really bad tape that's been put out there now. So they are seriously probably going to struggle. I don't think anyone out there can really say this is all on Mike Nolan. This is all on. The players need to take accountability, especially as well.
Yeah, like they are the ones. Like, how would I structure this? From last week, like you can only do so much to change things about. in terms of a coaching perspective. You need to make do what you got, but it's up to those players to put a performance better than last week, and it was actually worse than last week. It was. And the fact is, Richard, we're actually having Stephen A. Smith actually feeling sorry for us. That says it all.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, this goes back to what we were saying before, that there's no drive, there's no desire to do anything. I mean, even just base respect for themselves as, not even as professional athletes or just as athletes, as men, to go out and just do stuff properly. And if they were trying their hardest and still be playing crap and not getting it done, you'd see that, but you don't see that. But with all the problems we've had here, and we've identified the lack of leadership, the lack of desire, and everything else, would it really have been that bad now with hindsight to have brought Earl Thomas in when everyone was concerned about the problems he was going to make in the locker room?
No, I still don't think I would have brought him in.
Because at the minute, sitting where we're sitting now, if you had the opportunity to bring him in, I'd be like, yeah, why not?
I wouldn't, because of the money.
It can't get much worse. It can't get much worse than people just flat out not wanting to play.
That's the thing, Rich. If Earl Thomas if Earl Thomas wants to play for free, then I'll bring him in. But I am not willing to spend money on him because the drama that he brings, and I don't want that money to affect our cap for going forward.
No, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? So that's the only reason now what I'm against about the whole Earl Thomas thing, because who knows? We were just saying this just before the show started. Anything could happen in this trade deadline now. Anything. Because, let's be honest, we did not expect us to go and trade up for Harry Cooper a couple of years ago. We did not expect that.
No.
That was completely out of the blue. So, who knows what we're going to do in this before the trade deadline? Who knows?
Yeah, and that's a beautiful segue, because we had that written down as well is to look at the trade deadline. Obviously, it's next week, and then Graham has made a great point there. In terms of replacements, won't be brought in to build room for next year's cap. So, I mean, I think, Paul, you're on the record as who you want out the door next.
I want Paul out the door. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a nice guy, whatever that.
Yeah.
But you're not doing your job, pal. And I think you should be going, because your heart's not in it. I'm trying to be nice about him as possible right now. And I'm finding it really difficult. Like if it was any other player like doing a performance like that, if I was Jim Tulsilla, I'd get him and bench him and tell Mike Nolan and tell Mike McCarthy he's not putting the work in. He's not willing. He's slow off the snap count. He's getting forced back. I mean, honestly,
Rich, give us an opinion there. Do you think there's anyone else that will be traded away? Can you see us being active and bringing anyone in?
I mean, logic says that if you're gonna get rid of people, really, you need to be bringing other people in, whether they're upgrades or not in terms of veteran players. Remains to be seen. Heck, at the minute, I would take someone off a practice squad who just has a chance of like, here you go, here's the rest of the season. Prove you need to be on a roster next year to anyone, not just us. Someone that actually has some fire and wants to play. But I completely agree with Paul. Don't get to fuck. I don't give a fuck about the guy anymore. I'm sorry, he probably is a really nice guy, but in terms of going out as a man, doing your job, being a professional athlete, I don't see it. I struggle. I think it's an offence to class him as a professional athlete. I personally really do. I think that's an offence to other professional athletes. He just doesn't. He has no. He goes and you can see he has no clue. So there's been no prior preparation. Because you can say what you want about the coaching, but nobody out there has to force him to go in, look at tape, know what he's study the playbook, and know what he's supposed to do in a given situation. Or hell, outside of that, look what's in front of you and react. That's all you have to do. At a worst case scenario, look at what's in front of you and react. And he's not doing it.
It's not just that, mate. It's not even hitting his gaps. It's not even willing to hit his A gap or B gap, or depending on what the stunt is. I don't even think he's actually moved 2 gaps in this whole year. Like, it just should be a simple 1 gap, B or A. That's it. But David brought up a question there regarding the show.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, it's Jerry running the show. I to be perfectly honest, I have not got a Scooby-Doo, and I think Stephen is taking some control more off Jerry right now, but I can't really say for sure. I'll be honest.
So over the past couple of years, there's been a definite sort of slow transition. Stephen has come in more and more. Stephen is the reason we didn't go and get Manziel a couple of years ago. Everyone's thankful for that. In hindsight, Stephen has come in, and you can see definite instances like that where his influence is there. Jerry will always have that ace card because he is the owner, he is the GM. If he wants something to happen, really, that's it. It will happen. But you are seeing things like that have happened less and less and less. So I think it's probably maybe 60-40 personally, if I had to put some numbers on it, with Stephen to Jerry. But yeah, I mean, Jerry's still Jerry.
I want to kind of take on what Andy's just said there. By looks like no one's running the show. I actually technically agree. I actually kind of agree. No one in Jerry or Stephen are actually taking the authority to actually stand up and say this is not good enough. They're saying week by week, it's like, oh, this is the man for the job and blah blah blah. Like, regardless what, McCarthy still could be the answer. We don't know, but in terms of what the players that we've got, it's not the answer right now. We've made a lot of bad decisions in terms of the players that we brought in free agency, which we just talked about, and in terms of some of the level of coaching, especially in defense. I mean, offensively, we've had some hiccups, obviously with fumbles and whatever and that, but up to that point before Dak got injured, we were you can still. I know you were saying it's garbage shots, but the fact is we were still coming back to being within certain amount of points to win the game. So it still counts for something, but
So this front office has never been, at least in my experience while I've been following the team, has never been a stand up and say we are absolute garbage. This person's being crap. This person's being crap. This person's has had a fire lit under their ass. They're not like that. They will stand up and they will do and say one thing to the camera, but what's actually happening behind the scenes is a completely different kettle of fish. You go and listen to Jerry Jones at 105.3, the fan, the interviews he's done. He's livid. He's not happy at all. You can tell that there's people apologizing to people asking questions because they know the situations that they're in. You can see it when you actually see Jerry on game day. You actually see Stephen on game day. You can see their faces. You know exactly how they feel because they wear their hearts on their sleeve. Both of them do, but especially Jerry. But they will always toe the line and say they support someone completely and they're going through the process and they're doing this and they're doing that officially. That's always going to be the official statement.
See, what we've done just made the point there. I kind of disagree now because I always talked about COVID. COVID is always the reason. But the thing is, though, all 32 teams are in the same scenario as we are. So what are we doing different from these other teams who are playing some good football? Like, for example, the Browns, they're playing some great football right now. They're 5-2 or something.
5-2 with a new head coach.
With a new head coach, they're in the same place as us. Like, the Browns have went through from head coach to head coach. They were a little laughing stock. Now they're getting talked about as if they can actually go and win their division. It's crazy. Yeah. So what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? I'm sorry, man, but I did use that excuse for COVID for so long, saying we had no preseason, we had smaller training camp, but so did every single one of those teams. We cannot defend that excuse anymore. It's now to the point where it's now week 7 or week 8. I'm lost track now, but
we're in week 8.
We're going halfway through the season now, and we're actually getting worse. And we can see injuries, we can see whatever on that, but the fact is, there's just no leadership in that team to get people elevated to step up.
No, there's not. I completely agree. The only thing in my mind that really COVID should have influenced is because you said there's no preseason. So you don't have those games, so there's going to be a bigger element of rust and slowness and team cohesion and unit cohesion for probably the first 3-4 games of the season. Like you said, we're now going into week 8. That should have been well knocked out of the park 3-4 weeks ago. They should be playing a lot better now, but they're not. Now, yes, you can take injury into account. To a point, you can take people not wanting to play for each other to a degree, whole team cohesion to a degree because you didn't have an off season. But if you need an off season, a couple of weeks to make your team gel, a team that hasn't really changed that much over the off season in the whole, then you've got a really, really big problem.
Just like everyone kind of said that, and don't forget the smaller training camp as well, the condensed training camp that we had, and the limited time that, like, again, this was the same for every team. You had lesser time to study film, to study the playbook, everything. Absolutely everything is like everything that you did in terms of a normal training camp, in terms of rest periods, all that type of stuff. It's all different. Players would, like, for example, like, I'm still like, there's some players that like got a bit of a knock from what they are now. They may have no restriction, and not just that. Here's the biggest thing: what were some of these players doing in this off season because of COVID? What were they doing? Some of them didn't look as though they were in shape at all. I.e., Paul, who like I cannot stop bashing because I just think he's just done nothing in that whole off season. He just came in.
I don't take not being in the same building and all of that as an excuse for not watching film. At the end of the day, we've known COVID's been around since in earnest since March in both countries. There is just a serious attitude of, I think, from the off season of can't be asked. I think it's oh, there you go. But yeah, that's quite fortuitous, CBA. But yeah, there's no excuse. At the end of the day, if you want to watch film, you don't need to be in the same room as someone. These people, these groups, and the whole team were getting together a lot over Zoom, Teams, whatever, virtually. To watch tape, but like I said before, there's nothing to stop you as a person watching tape and getting in the playbook and knowing what they should be doing. They should be coming into games knowing exactly where they need to be, what their assignment is for this, for that. They should be the most clued up out of any team previously because they've had the time, but they're not, and they're not reacting. I could understand the rust coming into the season because they haven't been around each other. I can understand that, but not being prepared and not understanding what you've got to do and being in completely the wrong place is inexcusable.
Yeah.
Like I think Graham has made a couple of great points here. So, in terms of there's only so long that McCarthy can defend Mike Nolan. I mean, I think like we go to our fiercest rivals this week, or we have our fiercest rivals at home. Which is it? Are we on the road?
Are we playing the Eagles, aren't we?
We're on the road, aren't we?
I think we're on the road. But I mean, a bad result on Sunday, and I think Jerry and Stephen will have to act.
Well, they already are. They already are. I mean, after 6 seasons before, when you said it before, where we went and got Amari because we were seriously struggling, they went and made something happen. They're doing stuff now. Now, yes, it's a player leaving, not a player joining. So far, we need to wait and see what happens. But you'd like to think they would bring it back to the question you started here. You'd like to think they do something at the minute with personnel. And Jerry has pretty much said that something is going to happen with personnel.
I honestly don't think I could actually physically cope if I was losing to the Eagles. I'm sorry, man. Washington is bad enough.
Yeah.
But
I could cope with one.
Yeah.
I could cope with splitting them, losing both.
Yeah.
Nah.
I'm gonna throw another question in here because I think it warrants a little bit of a discussion in terms of outgoings. So, no, not that one. Sorry. This was it. So, Michael Gallup. Is Michael Gallup trade bait? Should we try and pick up something for him?
I hope not.
I hope not, but we will get a lot for him. We will, considering.
Because again,
the one strength of this team so far, or at the minute, as things currently stand right now, is the wide receiver core. The one strength. And you want to chip away at that. People want to chip away at that. I don't think that's the best idea. I get why. In trading that depth to add to other areas where you're weak, so you bring the overall balance around, but I personally, I'm not a fan of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. It did touch on a point, and Paul, I know you wanted to talk about this. In terms of our 2017 draft class, a lot of these guys are also playing for contracts. So this is basically
good luck with that.
It is Chidobe Awuzie. It is Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods, and Noah Brown.
Noah Brown. I'd keep Noah Brown. I keep Noah.
Yeah.
But Xavier Woods, after that, words that I can only describe was an absolute disaster and a shit show of him backpedaling to a running back. What the hell was that? Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It was a run play. Like at least force him out to the side. Don't backpedal and let him gain yards right up through the middle like that. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Rich, is there any of those guys you're keeping around? Or
same. I think the only one that's worth maybe seeing what he'll stay for. I mean, I don't think anyone's in a good contract at all. At the minute, I think everyone needs to be put on a prove-it contract after this year, or the vast majority of people. Me personally, but yeah, Anthony Brown. That's it. The rest of them, just let them walk out the door. Let them walk out the door and just see what you can get.
Yeah. Then if we kind of look at it, and a few people have asked this question, and I think that sums it up 100%. But a few people have asked, and I'm just looking for the question here. So in terms of the rest of the season, what do we see our record being? So the question here: how many wins do we think? What do we think will be our final record? I mean, do you see us winning another game?
I do see us winning a game, but I think it will be near towards end of the season, depending on how the other teams are doing.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be 4-12.
Yeah, I think Graham's called 4-12 there as well.
There you go. Yeah,
I think it's going to be 4-12 at best. 5-11 at best. Because when you look at the rest,
agree.
If you look at the rest of the schedule, we've got Pittsburgh, who are undefeated right now. They're on a hot streak. We've got the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson playing, and we've got the rest of our divisional rivals. The only ones I can really see us doing any damage is maybe the December time when we play against the Eagles and Giants again. Right? And that could be one of those games that it could mean absolutely nothing. We could be already deadlocked. Like, for all we know, the Eagles could actually go in and win X amount of games going ahead, and they could be favourites. Same with Washington, whoever. But with us, I don't see that happening now.
Yeah. Go on, Rich.
I agree. I don't see them. It's going to go one of two ways. If they don't sort themselves out and don't find a desire to play, they're going to be lucky to win another game. If they can sort themselves out, then to a degree, bets are off.
You know, it's not funny, but it's annoying, the fact that we're being described as that. We are like, it was Keyshawn Johnson on First Take. No, was it First Take? First Take. Basically said, if it wasn't for the New York Jets, the Cowboys would be the worst team in the NFL right now. That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to agree. It's a fair argument.
It's a fair argument. I think to be honest, the one thing one problem this is completely random tangent, but the one thing that I have the biggest problem with is that Falcons game. And Mike McCarthy stood on that podium and said, we showed how much grit and determination we have as a team and how much we want to fight for each other. And it's been completely vacant since. And I think it shows that was complete BS. It shows how much value Dak actually has. When Dak's not there, no one seems to think it's worth trying. And the thing that really pisses me off is that, one, it shows that maybe Mike McCarthy doesn't have a good understanding of this personnel. And also it pisses me off that the one team that went through a load of injuries and actually went on to win a Super Bowl is the team that we're about to go and play.
Yeah.
Is it? I'm trying to think of a positive from this game as well. Like from defensively, believe it or not, did we not concede any points at all in that second half, or is it just a field goal?
Conceded a field goal.
Yeah.
Right. So
third quarter was nothing, wasn't it?
So in a way,
third quarter was nothing.
As much as how crap that game was, that is the only positive I can really say. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. It could have been.
I'm going to disagree with you, Paul, and the reason I'm going to, and it's not just this game. It was
I'm just saying theoretically.
Yeah.
Like I know you don't like. I know what you're kind of getting at now. I know what you're getting at, but I'm with you though. I'm with you.
Like
they bun the clock, pretty much.
Yeah, but even at that, it's the number of yards we're giving up rushing in games.
Yeah.
We've given up nearly 1,000 yards in 4 games on the ground. I mean, not
against elite running backs as well. Backups and first stringers.
Yeah, I mean, we gave up 300 against Cleveland. We gave up. It was less than 100 against the Giants, but in our last 2 games, we gave up 260 and 207. I mean, that is pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. You know, I mean, I know we talk about the game as being won in the trenches, but I mean, we're absolutely not doing it in the trenches. I mean, like we've tried Poe, we've tried Crawford, we've tried Woods, Hamilton, Gallimore, like. What does it take? I mean, Paul, you're a defensive lineman. I mean, what more can they do?
I keep saying this. It's the way how they're actually attacking that line, for me anyway.
Yeah.
They're being too standoffish. They're not actually trying to fight through the gap, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any good hands at all being utilised by any linemen to get themselves off the blocks. It's like they're just being there as statues and reading and reacting, and as a result of that, they're getting forced back. And it's like and I know what it's like being on that side, like where I've made a mistake after I've paid the penalty, but I don't want to be feeling like every single play. It sucks. It sucks to get my ass kicked. Like if I'm not doing my job, I know for a fine fact. My coach, my defensive coordinator for the Pirates would kick me back off and get someone else in who wants to actually get reps, who wants to be on the team, who wants to. We're not seeing it's. But the thing is, it just could be down to the actual scheme. It's like how players are assigned to do things, so therefore linebackers have a role and do something. It's all. I don't get that. I really don't. Like Rich.
You're kind of our O-line expert. Like, I mean, what are opposition O-lines doing to us?
Dictating the game, start to finish, exactly the same way that we used to do. Dak and Zeke's first 2 seasons. They're just it's ridiculous. They're literally running all over us and right through us. People are just like Paul said. There's no good hands. There seems, like we said before, there's seemingly no desire. There's no trying to change things up. People are just literally just being there, being bodies to block. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one more question, and Graham is on absolute fire tonight. Which is more likely, a top 5 pick or we trade in this season?
I've honestly no idea, but I tell you one thing, I don't want Trevor Lawrence, mate. I don't want him. No chance, are you kidding?
Top 5.
I wouldn't draft him, like, especially when we need more needs at O-line and more needs at other positions. I don't see the need for us drafting a high-end quarterback in the top 5, because we all know that, because that's what seems to be what's happening in the media right now. We have that absolute idiot Skip Bayless, the self-proclaimed Cowboys fan from 1961. Shut up, Skip Bayless. I'm sorry, mate. You're absolute out your arse. Like, it's like
he's a sensationalist. That's all that is.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure which is more likely. I think it's very on the fence right now. You can expect anything with Jerry Jones. I'm going to go ahead and say, actually, I think a trade.
I would say trade down. I would say get more draft picks and like maybe in the low 10s.
No, so I think the question from Graham is, do we end up with a top 5 pick or do we make a trade before next week?
Now, yeah.
All right. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think he's going to try and make a trade because I don't see Jerry being happy with ending up with a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
I just that's the way I see it. If there's someone there that is on the trading block that can improve this team in a good way, mainly helping stop the run, most likely, or someone gets floated to us and the price isn't horrendous, I think he'll pull the trigger.
This is. I'm sorry, but this is a great point from Lauren, by the way, because Tom Sula is a great defensive lineman coach. He is a good he did prove that with San Francisco, and especially through the NFL Europe days. And I'm surprised more than anybody because I was ecstatic to the fact that we got Tom Sula in to get our defensive line up that. But I don't know how much control he's been given because of Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan might want him to do something a specific way, and that's the only thing I could really think of.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's what it is. I think it's been from reading between the lines of what's been said after the first few games of this is the scheme. Just give it time. It's going to take some time to adjust. Just give it time. It'll happen. And I'm like, well, how much time do they really want? Because it's not happening.
Yeah.
And I just want to say sorry to everybody that's actually watching this because we've always pretty much just went through a whole hour of just bashing. Like we are trying to find some positivity.
Yeah.
Right now, and we do apologise, but like you guys are watching this right now, we are annoyed as much as you are because this is just not good enough. As we're supposed to be America's team, the world's team. We're supposed to be one of the most exclusive sports franchises in the world, and this is what we've been given with. It's just not. It's not good enough. We actually had a team pretty much ready made. When you look at the blueprint of it, we were pretty much the media's favourites to go and have a deep run in the playoffs, and we're pretty much a laughingstock now with the media, mainstream media. So all I can say is sorry, guys. We are trying to think of a positive thing, but the way I'm seeing it right now, I think the only positive thing is maybe look towards next season.
Yeah, and feeding back into Graham's question, I think we're going to end up with a top 5 pick. I really do. And I mean, I'm on record in our private group chats as saying I think we could end up with Trevor Lawrence because it's a Jerry Jones type move. But my own personal preference is Penny Sewell, an offensive tackle from Oregon. And he is an absolute monster. I don't care if we play him at tackle or guard. I just want him. I want him because Rich, you have said it for years. Graham has said it for years. We need to address the O-line and get it sorted out.
Yeah, because we don't know how. Because we don't know if Tyron Smith's out. Because he might actually end up retiring this year. He might.
Yeah.
because the way how the situation is, because it's now becoming a regular occurrence every season, and he's actually losing more games per season now.
Yeah.
And it could be a whole scenario where end of the season he might say, my body can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
He might retire. I hope it doesn't, because it is so fundamental important to us. But it's just such a struggle to have him fit for a whole season.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about maybe even half a season now.
Yeah. And that's something we can't do with.
No, we can't.
And this is the thing, it ruins the cohesion there between the guys.
Yeah.
Because he's only there for half the games, if that. Now, this is a regular occurrence. You really need to start thinking, we needed to start having someone behind him to train up for afterwards. You need to start thinking about life after Tyron Smith immediately, now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when now we've got a Dak, whether we do give him, like, sign him on a franchise tag next year, or we give him that long extension contract, whatever. Like, we still don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But whoever it is going to be our quarterback, we need to ensure this person's got protection.
There's no way they're going to sign Dak to a franchise tag next season that they cannot afford.
No. Exactly.
No
they can't afford it. They have to get him to a deal.
I'm just saying. I'm just laying out all the options.
I know.
Yeah. Like,
really, what they need to be doing, ideally, is to have, depending on the personnel, 2 first-round picks, depending on obviously who's available, because they need a run stopper on the defensive line, and they also need someone on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Biadish is looking decent enough, so happy with that. Zach Martin will come back. You're going to have to deal with right tackle, but you need to address the blind side. You need to address that, for the love of God, and you need someone who can hit the ground running now. You need a Zach Martin over there, or another Tyron Smith over there immediately. You have to have someone there. It is you cannot do it, because you are not going to be able to even fall back on the thing of just accepting, okay, our defense is crap, we're going to have to go as far as we possibly can. The attitude that it was this year, riding on Dak's coattails, hopefully keeping as many as the wide receiver core as we can. Blake Jarwin hopefully will be back next year and healed up. Dalton Schultz been playing the way he has. Things are looking fairly optimistic on that side of things, on the offensive side for next year. But if you're going to do that, you need to make your priority, ironically, the offensive line and fixing that blind side, because otherwise Dak is not going to be able to do that much.
Yeah.
You know what the funny part about this whole show is? We had a whole statistics thing and that, and we've not even really covered it. And I don't even think it's worth showing because it's that bad.
No.
So, but I'm just like, what did you say? It's abysmal. It does not look good. Like even all the Cowboy writers saying it doesn't look good at all. Like this is coming from official staff. It doesn't look great. It does not look great on paper at all. Mm-hmm. The number of attempts and all that stuff, and I don't know. I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Is how people are still saying Jalen Smith, because he is leading the tackles in the NFL right now.
Is he leading or is he third?
He's leading tackles. I think it's 75, 76 tackles so far this season.
Yeah.
Something like
that. I think he's become a bit of a scapegoat to a degree. Don't get me wrong, he's not playing up to standard. I don't think anyone is. But I think he's being scapegoated to a degree. If the defensive line was playing a lot better, his job would be a lot easier.
Exactly.
It'll be easier to a degree. Hopefully, you would expect now that Leighton Vander Esch is coming back, because they are in sync to a degree. They have been in the past.
And Sean Lee.
Exactly. And hopefully, as I said, with Sean Lee coming back, there will be that leadership. You'd hope, Sean Lee is that. They call him the general for a reason. He was the only person. I've said this before, the no-name defense years ago. He was the only name on that defense, and he kept everyone else in check. There was a marked increase in the way that defense played.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Like,
I think I don't know about you, but I think we should maybe kind of finish off with this one question, because this is nearly over an hour now into the show, and we're just kind of over it.
we're well over an hour, but I mean,
Yeah.
my own opinion on Jalen. I mean, if Jalen didn't celebrate every single tackle with the fucking swipe and just got off the field or got back to his position, I would say, good job, fair play to you. But it's just the constant thing of acting like I've made a big play on every play. No, you haven't, son. Get back into line, organise your defense, and sort that shit out. You want to be a leader on this team. Just fucking be a leader. Be a leader by your actions.
At the same time, he's trying to be a leader and trying to lead by example and say, like, do something good. Do something good. Yes, this went right for us. Let's celebrate it, but move on to the next thing. Because that's what was bred into him by Jason Garrett. I actually don't have a problem with him in that sense. I get why you say that, but I don't have a problem with him doing that. Celebrate when things go right. Make it happen more often. And if you see him doing a lot of that, then he's obviously doing his job reasonably well.
So the reason I kind of brought that up is, and you kind of briefly mentioned it there, is like regards to the D-line, we're not doing their job properly. So do you think it's the fact that he's trying to overcompensate, really, like he's trying to do too much again? This is and I saw this in one particular, especially when it came to this red zone play. I don't know how many looks and directions that Jalen was looking at. He was looking to the left. He was looking at the corners. Then he was looking at where the running back was. He was looking where the tight end was. Was it Logan Thomas? I mean, come on, man! Like looking to but the fact is, like, he was not setting himself to an assignment. He's not trusting his own teammates as well. So,
and let's not forget, Jalen wasn't playing as middle linebacker this year. He wasn't supposed to be organising the defence. Leighton had moved into the middle. He'd moved into the Mike position in the off season. So it's really Leighton's job to sort that out. And like that, I would hope from this weekend, Leighton has the balls to stand up and go, Jalen, get out of my way. You go play the weak side. I'll take the middle.
I think Jalen will be more than happy to.
That's not Leighton's decision. No, that'll be on the defensive coordinators or the linebacker coach. That'll be his decision.
I don't even think it's a decision that'll have to be made. I think hopefully they'll just slip back into that thing, because Leighton Vander Esch knows what he needs to do. Jalen is a very specific. He's a linebacker, but he's a very specific player. He is ideally, the way you want to use him, especially in this scheme, whatever this scheme is a situational pass rusher. Which when they've seemingly tried to do it, it's had results, mostly pressures. But he's been getting there. He's been knocking on the door. It hasn't happened anywhere near enough, but I think there is, to a degree, like you said, he is playing or trying to play a position that he's not in, a scheme that he's not meant to be. He's trying to play everything, because at the end of the day, he's trying to play for everyone else to cover up all these other paper over all these other cracks, because other people aren't doing their damn job. And I think he's been scapegoated for it to a degree. He can't focus on what he's supposed to do, which is what he's not really meant to be doing. You can't hold it against a guy to not play a position well and a scheme well that he's not meant for.
Yeah,
and as a result of that, he's making some big bloopers, and it's evident.
Yeah. Like I think it's broadest that you say this. I remember in some of his coverage, and he wasn't speaking specifically about Jalen, but he was speaking about another linebacker, and he said, when we played this guy, we knew he was a cluer, that he was guessing. And that seems to be what Jalen is doing. He's guessing, and then he's ahead of the play, whereas Leighton seems to be very much, he's reacting, he's seeing what's happening, rather than guessing and going. And that should balance itself out from now. You have to give Leighton the game at the weekend as, look, you're getting back up to speed. He still was top tackler on the team, no doubt. But we'll hopefully see that against the Eagles at the weekend.
Oh God, I hope so. It's like Graham, kind of like before we finish off, I know I kind of popped this question up earlier, but I think we do need to kind of talk about this before we go. is obviously was talking about Tank's 21 million.
My problem with Tank, and I think he comes across as a nice guy, decent guy. He comes in, does his job, goes home. I dare say you've all, and I'll try and put this in the best succinct way I can. I'm guessing you've all, or you've both seen Remember the Titans, the film.
Yeah. Of course.
You know when they're at training camp, and I can't remember the character's name. The two guys having it off, and he's saying, that's the one, Julius and Bertier. Julius is coming up and he's basically saying, no one's playing for the team. What team? There is no team. I'm going to come in, do my job, and I'm going to get mine. That is Tank Lawrence through and through. Tank doesn't go in, and because Tank has been consistent. In fairness, he is playing. People are taking account of him. He is getting in. He is trying on every snap. You can see that the effort is there. But Tank, to me, is not, in anything on the field, off the field, is not a team person. For me, I don't see it. He's certainly not a leader, in my personal opinion. And in my personal experience, now, yes, I've never played football, but I don't see him as that. In everything that's happened in terms of the Hot Boys mentality, which was forged by him, he's been in this for him, for what he can get out of it, and that's not winning a Super Bowl. It's that, as much as you can possibly get. And while I, to a degree, on one hand, can't knock him for it, on the other hand, I can. Because the one thing you should be coming into this for is winning the Super Bowl and getting a trophy. There's a reason... there's a couple of reasons, but the main reason that Tom Brady has as many Super Bowls as he has, and with a team that's had a fair amount of changes until he moved, was because there was the desire there, and he knew what needed to be done, and he did everything, and he held everyone else to account. Tank doesn't do that. Tank, to me, is a player who's out there to get his, and that's the end of it. And he'll walk off into the sunset with his 21 million and whatever else he can get, and that's it. But that to me is the reason why you see Tank still make an effort on the field, but it's not. He's not holding other people to account. He's not getting in anyone's face and saying, "Why are you playing shit?" Tell Terry Poe, "What the fuck are you doing?" There's none of that.
I see where you're coming from, Rich. For me, Tank does love Dallas. He does.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt he loves Dallas.
There's no question about that. Like, he loves where he's staying. Like, he doesn't want to be anywhere else. But the fact is, there's just something no right with and Graham mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. He's been playing injured. If he's injured, then don't play. Yeah. Type of thing. Like, and we're seeing his production dive down a bit. Whether it's because, again, it's just down to the coaching, which is going like, and I always keep saying this. He's always been a 3-point stance type of guy. Yeah, he's not been having that burst ever since he's been having to be more of a hybrid defensive end, having to change his stance every time, nearly every, like going from a 3-point to a 2-point, whatever, and that, and even like moving side to side from like a C gap to move like more heads up on a defensive tackle. It's like offensive tackle, sorry, but I honestly don't know, man. Yeah, I still think like. My short answer is I still think we still need Tank. We still need him.
Yeah.
Like, because
completely agree.
If there's still going to be one person that I know we're saying like he's not a leader, but if there is going to be at least one person, and I did criticize him earlier about the whole thing about Andy Dalton, which he should have done. He should have came out and actually tore fucking Bostic's head off, right?
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
But he'd probably still be the guy that could still change that dressing room. He still could be that guy.
He could. He really, really could. Out of everyone on that team, he is one of the people that are in prime position to actually lead by example and step up and actually be a leader.
Yeah.
And I hope he does it. But me personally, I don't think he will.
Yeah. I'm and
that depresses me.
That. Yeah. Like, I mean, he was one of the captains last year. He's one of the 6 captains.
Yeah.
He's done nothing this year to show leadership. As you said, Paul, why was he not out there? Why did he not go to tear Bostic's head off? You know, he's supposed to be a leader of this team.
Yeah. Why is he not tearing Don Terry Poe's head off? Why is he not tearing anyone else's head off? Why is he not turning around and saying to his own secondary, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you backpedaling against the fucking running back? Why are you just standing there when the holes collapse? Everyone's moving right. You're standing there. You're spying on the running back. You can see him there, and he's literally about 2-3 feet away from you, and he's cutting left, and you just stand there and just go. And he's already passed you when you've gone step. Oh. What the hell? Why is he not ripping other people's heads off? Yeah. And I think that's the reason. He's just in it for himself. He will continue to play to the maximum of his ability. And I thank him for that. He is a come in, do your job kind of guy. I think he will continue to do that, continue to try and get best as he can as a player. But in terms of trying to make other people better around him, I don't think that's Tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Well, on that note, I think you were about to say what I was about to say, weren't you? I think we better wrap it up.
I was. I mean, look, folks, it's great to see all the comments which have been flying in all evening, because we've seen them across Periscope, Facebook, Twitter. You know, it's great to have it, and you know, without you folks watching in, we're just three guys talking about amongst ourselves. So thank you for that, and make sure you keep doing that before we head off.
Yep, the more engagement, the more the better.
Exactly. Before we go, Paul, if you want to give a shout out.
Yep. So if you're planning or going to a Cowboys game this year, be sure to go and check out Cowboys Experience for the ultimate meet and greet, tailgate, and game day experience. Obviously, with COVID-19 this year, it's pretty limited, and as much as I am being really harsh on the Cowboys, it's probably not the best time to go and see our team right now. But in terms of going visit Hall of Fame players like Drew Pearson and former Cowboy alumni and former Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and like Ed Too Tall Jones, I can go on with the whole list of names that actually are part of this amazing team at Cowboys Experience. So, but for the 2020 season, be sure if you are planning going next season, use the discount code UK Cowboys, and you can receive yourself a free gift.
Rich,
use the code. Don't be a clown. Get free stuff.
And before we sign off, give us the line for the lead into the pre-game show for this week.
Nah. We've sworn enough on this show already. We burnt through really our cuss allowance in the first 5-10 minutes.
I'll tell you one thing. I hope to God we do win, because I don't want to see that piece of crap EDP talk crap after he spoke about that Prescott.
Scumbag.
Yeah, so we better win this game. Despite how bad we play, we need to. I'm gonna try and stay optimistic as always. Still repping no matter what, as you can see, but we need to win regardless. Anything we can do now from now on, let's go for it, man. You know.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, of course, folks, don't be afraid to join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. This podcast will be available on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and your other podcast outlets. Mike and the team will be here at 9 o'clock Thursday our time here in the UK and Ireland. It's a good night from me.
Yep. Oh, don't forget, 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
Yep.
Paul.
See you later.
You want to say good night, Rich?
Night.
See you later.
Take it easy.
Have a good one, guys.
Ta-da.